Well, it just had to be, didn't it? Punjab fans should have known it was over from the moment Kohli announced his test retirement. Fair enough, Punjab winning it for the first time in their history under Iyer would have been an amazing story, but can you really beat the headline of Kohli winning it after 18 long years, wearing the number 18 on his back for the club he is always stuck with? I feel like all is well in the world now. Probably 85% of cricket fans are over the moon today and happy with the result, and the other 15% probably live in Punjab. I personally also have a smile on my face despite barely sleeping and ruining my sleep schedule, because for a nice change, for once, this league hasn't made me look like an absolute mug, and I actually predicted pretty accurately what would happen. But similar to what I said yesterday, I think this was really just a case of a difference in class when it comes to the middle order batting and then obviously the bowling. To be fair, I didn't really factor in that KRUNAL Pandya would turn into a combination of Warne and Kumble and take 2 wickets at a rate of 4 and almost, well, pretty much single-handedly winning that game and taking the game away from Punjab. But I did think those middle overs would be really important for them, and in the end, I guess it did decide the game in a weird way. Between KRUNAL's one of the best spells I've ever seen in T20, and then Shepherd up the other end bowling one of the worst spells I've ever seen in T20, but then bowling this rogue ball that gets out Iyer for one. In the end, I think that did seal the game. But first things first, we do need to talk about how good Bengaluru were in setting up their innings and setting a platform for the later overs. But before we do that, while you're here, if you are enjoying the long videos, please subscribe. Also, if you have preference of having the audio and video and being able to switch between that, head to my Spotify. It's the exact same username and you have the flexibility over there. Now, whether this was all intentional and part of the game plan or it just happened to end up this way, who knows, but it was bloody good to watch and I was impressed. I think for starts, and I actually feel bad for Punjab in this sense, is that the deck was much harder to bat on, at least compared to the surfaces throughout the season. I think the natural variation, it was spinning, there was a lot of swing as well. And honestly, I don't think that favoured Punjab at all. I think the quality of swing bowlers that Bengaluru have, and then also having an amazing spinner in Pandya, it just falls into their hands a little bit better. I think from the get-go, RCB and Kohli realised it was pretty difficult to bat on, and Kohli kind of immediately settled into that anchor role, as he normally does, but he really valued his wicket kind of from the get-go. Even in the power play, he wasn't batting very aggressively at all. And then up the other end, Phil Salt was just pulling a Phil Salt's always going to Phil Salt, but I think in a final it's actually really important to get runs on the board to put pressure on the bowlers early. So he scored 19 in what, 1.5 overs and then got out. Fair enough. I think he had the right intentions and put them on the right foot. But this is truly where I think the difference was made. Those middle overs and the ability to be able to turn over the strike rate without giving up too many wickets. And Kohli just sat there, he was striking around 120, he was in no rush at all, and he really set the platform for those latter overs. He was happy to hold up one end, while the rest of the middle order, although they were getting out, not at the same time, but in increments, they were all coming in, I think, from 4 to 7, they all came in and were striking 160 or more. Yes, the other batsmen up the other end were taking small risks and taking on the fielders, but for the majority, they were just putting in the gaps. They didn't really go crazy until Shepherd came in at the end and just started going bananas. At the same time, though, I think credit does have to go to Punjab and also then Shepherd and Sharma, because even though the platform was set, when Kohli got out in the 14th over, yes, on paper, you should be able to accelerate pretty easily, but things would have got really awkward if you lose a lot more wickets when Kohli got out. But luckily, the batsmen that came in, once again, going back to that quality that they have really from 1 to 7, they can all come in and score runs. And really, they all chipped in with 20 to 30 each. Now, when it comes to Punjab's batting, I actually think they did a really decent job. I thought they were really good in the power play, and they were at a really good position at the end of the power play. Hazelwood did bowl a good his first over, but the 4th over, there was a drop catch and then he did get a wicket, which kind of slowed them down a little bit. But still, at the end of the 7th, 8th over, they were in a really good position, and it was probably the one point in the game that I thought, all right, Punjab are actually a chance here. Inglis was in and he was firing. I was not in yet, and I thought they've already got a decent amount of runs on the board here. There's not too much pressure on Iyer this is actually looking really good for them. Now, I'll talk about Pandya's bowling separately a little later on, but we all saw what happened. He bowled 4 overs of absolute perfection. He took massive wickets of Singh just as he was getting going, and then also Inglis, who was really at that point looking like Punjab's last hope. But what I think was really the big change, the moment where the game completely flipped into the favour of Bengaluru, was when Iyer got out. Everyone in the stadium, the commentators, even watching at home, you could feel the mood completely shift. I feel like everyone in the stadium, the Bengaluru fans kind of relaxed a little bit. Everyone knew the importance of that wicket. And the way it happened, I feel like, is such a punch in the guts. I mean, Shepherd was literally bowling sixes left, right and centre. He bowls this perfect ball at Iyer that kind of angles in at his body, shapes away just enough to get a little edge on it and get caught behind. At that point, I thought, well, this is an absolute wrap. And I thought, well, here goes Shepherd. He's going to be on a roll now, but he just went back to the bowling pies again. I mean, I could just imagine if Shane Warne was in the commentary box, the things he would have been saying about his bowling. But at the end of the day, he probably bowled the most important ball of the game and got the key wicket that got them the win. You also have to feel for Shashank Singh as well, who really played out of his skin. I mean, literally, if he had faced 2 more balls, they could have potentially won that game. Sure, I guess they're not worrying about the scoreline that much in the last over when they knew they had the game wrapped up, but he was it was some of the cleanest hitting you'll ever see. I mean, it was sad to watch though. I mean, I've never seen a person more sad hitting 22 runs off 4 balls. Every time he hit those boundaries, hand on the head, looking like he wanted to cry. And I mean, imagine smacking a 6 that cleanly, but it's just all for nothing. I mean, I felt so bad for him. It was really a class inning, but as sad as it was, at least there was some comedy in there, because this brings me to probably one of, if not my favorite highlight of the night. Now, with 4 balls to go, Punjab understood they couldn't win unless Hazlewood either bowled a few wides or bowled a no ball to get the extra ball. But there was something so strange about watching Hazlewood get absolutely demolished, get sent for a 6, and instead of panning to the batsman or seeing a happy batsman, the camera just pans over to Kohli, who's sitting there trying to hold back tears of joy, almost crying. And then Hazlewood has to line up for his run up again, runs in, bowls, bang, gets sent again, and they just pan back to Kohli, who's so happy, crying. I mean, I was absolutely trying to hold back laughter. On the final ball, I think it was mid-wicket, he gets sent for, again, one of the cleanest strikes you'll see in T20, just smacks it over mid-wicket, and yeah, no one's even batting an eye. Everyone is running into the circle to celebrate. Which brings me to my next favourite part of the game, which was seeing the group hug at the end of the game. The group huddle when everyone was jumping in, jumping around Kohli and celebrating, because it was great to see the varying degree of passion towards winning the league. I mean, there was a clear hierarchy of who gave a At the top of the pyramid, you have Kohli, which is fair enough. I mean, he's Indian. He's always played for RCB. It's their first title in 18 years. And he has played in the league, I think, since the inception, if not the second season. So fair enough. You have every right to be emotional and cry. Then you get the second tier down, the second tier of the pyramid. And that was mostly Indian players playing for the team, which again, fair enough. You're winning the biggest domestic trophy on offer in the biggest country of cricket, which is also their home country. So obviously you're going to be emotional. I mean, besides playing for your country, that's probably the biggest honor that you can do. Then you start getting to the stragglers. I think Phil Salt was then next. He kind of jogged over a little bit behind. I mean, he's an experienced T20 player. He does the circuit around the world. He plays a lot of T20 tournaments around the world. He was looking pretty chuffed. And then finally, last but not least, was as if he had to be there to uphold the stereotype of Australians not caring, Josh Hazlewood runs over with a smile, doesn't even join in the group huddle, and just gives off a couple of high fives with a smile on his face. I mean, This bloke has just won the biggest tournament that you can win outside of international tournaments, and he's literally sitting there smiling like he won a local meat raffle. Now, it wouldn't be a proper video. It wouldn't feel right. It almost feels like this is the prayer you say before you eat. I couldn't finish the video without talking about KRUNAL Pandya, because he bowled one of the best spells I've ever seen on it in a T20. And I actually wanted to compare it with the best spells in a final, which funnily enough is held by KOHLI, who I mentioned before when he took 4 for 16 in 2009. Now, I guess this doesn't really compare to that, although I would say that the wickets were probably a little bit easier to bowl on back in the day. But I'm being genuine when I say this is one of, if not the best spells of T20 I've seen in my life. He pretty much the entire time bowled a combination of balls kind of in at the body, in at leg stump, like cramping the batsman up, and then he would just dangle it way outside offside, tempting the batsman to have a crack, and then you would also have protection wide and on the sweep. I mean, obviously that's dumbing it down. That's making it sound way easier than what it was, but he was just so consistent on those lines. He was getting some balls to rip, some would just stay, and the batsmen were just having a nightmare reading it. It was legitimately perfect bowling. You got to factor in that he then also gets the wicket of Singh just as he was getting going at such an important time, and then also in his last over he gets Inglis, who really was smacking sixes everywhere. It looked like the last hope for Punjab. I mean, that is as good as a batsman scoring 100 in my eyes. That was one of the best spells I've ever seen. Anyway, congratulations to Bengaluru for winning it for the first time in their history. We now kind of turn our heads over to some test matches. We have England West Indies at the moment. We also have the World Test Championship final next Wednesday. Then Australia head to the West Indies after that, and India go over to England with their brand new squad. So there is plenty to come. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in a few days.